Hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to the final refrain. It has been a couple minutes since I got to cast one of these. Busy weekend and then a little bit of a later start for a lot of these matches, but we are here with a good one. We've got in our lower left corner of the bracket Zenzizenzizenzic versus Fabulosing. Winner of this one is going to be going against Stormstrong and Beehawk, who I believe are also playing tonight. Might also be streamed by me. We will see. That did not get filled in there, but we did have that late game getting played just yesterday between Algernon and Beehawk. Beehawk taking that one and now going to be in Stormstrong. But here we've got Fabulosing and Zenzi. Let's take a look at our players and our decks. Zenzizenzizenzic, have to say the full name at least once. If you say it 3 times, bad things happen, so be careful of that. Obviously, one of our recent Vault Tour winners, a great player, one of our Roseville locals as well. Getting to play up there at the Game Center often. Great player, great adaptive player, been doing this for a long time. One of the really, one of the only player, I think, to ever win with Vault Tour with a named deck. I guess that's not true. Did Vargas win one with? It was named after like one of his kids or something, but I don't remember if that won or got second. But either way, it is a very rare feat to do what Zenzi did with ethically renowned Zenzi, but don't think that's the deck he is bringing today. Other player, we've got Fabulosing. Excuse me. Again, a very prolific adaptive player, been around doing lots of Kagi stuff, Kagi champion in season 6, as well as national sealed champion in the US. Very solid player, very fun decks. Her Winds of Exchange deck that was played throughout a lot of the pod phase this season in Kagi was very, very cool. I think that's this favorite deck, the Delphius Borderlands Vault Head, but I think we also have a change up on Fab's side as well. So let's take a look at these decks. Zenzi is bringing an Amber Skies deck. This is Amber Vault who slowly saws everything. I like to think that Zenzi is bringing this mainly because of the name, but it looks like a pretty crazy deck too. We've got the Eldest Batchminder over there in Mars, so you're going to get some super pump Mars creatures. Portal Guardian Daughter being pipped into Mars. You've got triple in here somewhere in the Geistoid, Veil of Ectoplasm, Parabyte, Atomic Destabilizer, so plenty of disruption and everything there. Triple Skippy the Glorious for some archiving and some artifact control. And then you've got this Mars, which is just doing all the things. You've got Simwix, you've got Glider, Eldest Batchminder, Elite Disruptizord. Probably one of the worst synergies with the Eldest Batchminder, except that it just gets really big. It can fight stuff. You've also got Blip Bip and the Intentional Discharge and the Kaboom. So plenty of good stuff going on there. You can see SAS of 91. This is a spicy deck. That is right, JT. It's an interesting one. Looks like it's going to be pretty fast. So we'll see how that goes. Also, the 2 Worm Tunnels in there with lots of capture pips is nice. Fabulosing on the other side here, bringing a Coda deck. This is Pharaoh Breakflame Linum. Still not a bad deck, right? This thing is still doing stuff. Double Coward's End with some nice Brobnar stuff in there. Fairly standard, right? Earthshaker 2, lots of creature control, which is going to be nice against that Mars, right? Earthshaker is not going to have much time to take care of the Mars, but those Coward's Ends can do a lot. Banner of Battle, also very nice. This Dis is doing some stuff. You got Arise with triple Schuler and the Dust Imp and the Shaffles and Lash and Key to Dis, which I don't think there was any hard artifact control in Zenzi's deck, just the soft artifact control. And then we also have Mars, the Deep Probe, which can do some nasty stuff against that Mars if you get a big hand going on the Amber Skies side. We've also got Blip Bip, we've got Squawker, we've got the Key Abduction on this side, which is actually a super techie card in a match like this because that also acts as creature control. It just bounces all of those Mars creatures to hand. You might be able to do that and then Deep Probe. So I don't think it's 91 SAS to a low SAS. It's going to be obvious. I think this deck definitely has legs. It might be a little bit slow on the Amber generation. That's probably where it's going to have the most trouble against it. But let's take a look at our overall numbers. 20 Amber on the Coda side isn't bad, but both of these numbers are pretty low. So neither deck is going super fast, but we can see on Zenzi's side, we also have the 2 Effervescent Principles. I wanted to say Punk for some reason. Effervescent Principles. We've got Simwix the Bold. We've got lots of Amber control going on that side. We've got the Taxing with the Bit Bite. So I I think there's a lot of nice tools in the Coda deck, but it's just going to be not enough pressure over the long game to deal with this Amber Skies. But yeah, again, no true hard artifact control coming from either side, so those artifacts are going to be doing some work. That key to this. We do have the Control of the Weak, which can very nicely force through a key. Creature control, though, is huge on Fabulous Thing's side, but you're going to need a lot of it because of all the recursion you're going to see in Zenzi's deck. Yeah, that's a good catch. The Arise to fuel the battle fleet could also be really big, but I have a feeling you're going to be needing to use that to just get back Amber control or creature, or yeah, Amber control to deal with the board that might be kind of persistently doing stuff here. We'll see, though. I don't think this is cut and dried by any means, but there's always the player's skill to play into it. Let's see. They said they got their game up here, and I think I'm going to have to change my names, but let's get this going. All right. Yeah, let me change our names quick and then we'll be good to go. Looks like they are ready to start anyways. It's fine. Okay. Screen's all looking good. We are good to go. All right, so Fabulous Thing on the bottom here with our coded deck. Looks like we're going to take one more minute to get stuff loaded in. TCO taking its time. There we go. Zenzi on the top with Amber Sky's deck. And again, this is the first time these players are seeing each other's decks, so taking a little bit of time just to see what is going on. Fabulous and going Mars right away, getting that blip down, going to try and get some pressure. Zenzi's deck not having as much creature control, so decent chance that this thing gets to sit here for a turn, unless, oof, already the Eldest Batchminder. This card is one of those Mars cards that I haven't had the chance to pull, but the pressure it creates is insane. However, we do see right now, it's going to be buffing Fabulous Thing's Mars as well, so kind of an interesting interplay. Thing saying, yep, that is a board. Again, Disruptozoid creatures more powerful than late Disruptozoid can't be played. With that +2 power, I think that is 0 creatures in Fab's deck, but you know, it's a big body to deal with some of this Brobnar stuff. Fabulous going into Brobnar, so not going to be able to get possibly a kill. Ooh, yeah, does not have a way to kill the Batchminder here, but does get some big bodies on the board and that taunt with the Yo Mama Mastery, as well as the Banner Batter, just making things bigger. There's no Amber. There's only one Amber in the whole game right now, so this Mars, even with like the Cobalt and stuff, if you find Simwix here or like the Windshield and stuff, really, it's kind of just a use your board and reap turn. It's not doing anything crazy yet, unless you find something like the Simwix or the Blip or some of those other cards. So it might be tough, but I think you're also, well, I think you're pretty incentivized to use your board here, right? Just because you know there's so many board clears in Fabulous's deck that any chances you get to just reap out with 4 creatures might be worth it. But you do probably want to try and deal with this Blip, which the number 21 can't get to super easily. You'd have to do a couple fights here. Yeah, we're going to see that. The Disruptorzord taking out that taunting Headhunter. And then one of these will probably fight off the Blip and leave the Headhunter here. Ooh, goes for the Headhunter instead. So this is one of the tricky things. Now that there's damage on all of these creatures, those 2 Coward's Ends not doing nearly as much work against this board. We do see one more card coming down, but not a big draw turn there for Zenzi. But this is a scary board now with all this damage, protecting them from Coward's End. But there we go. There's the Key Abduction, which is just going to buy a turn. Looks like not too much else to play with that aside from the sample collection, but it does heal them all as well. So now if you have that, well, if assuming they get replayed here by Zenzi, which it's hard not to, you can't just let that stuff sit in your hand. You don't have enough discard pips in this deck. And you want to get that pressure anyways, but now 1 Coward's End really, really slows you down. So I think it's a pretty good solution to what was going on there. And again, Zenzi not having reaped as much that turn, not nearly pressuring as much with as far as the amber is concerned. All right, see the Mars Brigade coming back down. Capture pip this time, going off on the Disruptor Zord. And it looks like one of those EPs had a Mars pip on it too. I don't know if I caught that, but just getting that discarded. Get a disc call here from Fabulosing. Ooh, having to discard the Arise is pretty rough. But I think Fabulosing is just having to dig for one of those Coward's Ends now. Zenzi going Logos, though, not going to just reap out with this board. That's an interesting call. You do get the Skippy, well, playing the Skippy to archive instead of dropping the Lash. But ooh, okay. So Deanimator coming down is going to protect the Batchminder at least for a turn here. There's 0.5 artifact control. What was that? Oh, Tentacus. Okay. Not doing anything too crazy there. So we got the Bolter and then a Squawker coming down. The Bolter is just going to reap. And I think it's kind of a question here of what do you even hit? Because again, you don't really want to damage. Yeah, you don't really want to damage any of their stuff to make sure that the Coward's End does as much damage as possible. Jammer Pack and Biomatrix backup going on the Dust Imp. Sadly, this Biomatrix backup can backfire because you can trigger the Destroyed effect before you get the 2 Amber. So I think Zenzi is pretty incentivized to just fight these 2 off the board, get some damage on your creatures, and that will keep Fabulosing from getting the Amber. See if Zenzi catches that here. I'd be shocked if it wasn't another Mars turn. You've got the capture from Cobalt now. You've got plenty of creatures on the board to just do some reaping or get some damage on them again, especially with that key abduction gone. Pretty incentivized to fight, but you are behind on the Amber game. Fabulosing being up to 5 already, and then Zenzi only on 1. Do you see the Mars call though? I still didn't find. Oh yeah, it was the Tentacus. I was like, what was the artifact control? Tentacus doesn't do a whole lot here. So 1 fight from number clears both of these, but I actually think you might want to split your fights, yeah, to make sure you're getting damage on as many creatures as possible. Interesting. So does choose, because you get to order this, right? Does choose for them to get the Amber, knowing we got the Simwix captures. Windshield with some Amber and capture pips going down onto the Skippy. Again, only damage so far on Cobalt and Elite Disruptizord. Zord? Disruptizord. I'm putting an in there that isn't there. I'm a product of my Power Rangers watching days. Earthshaker coming down, clearing out those Logos creatures at least. Still leaves plenty of Mars on the board to deal with. We'll see. There's no Ganger Chieftain, so you're not really going to get to ready and fight. Could have had the punch there, but we do find the Mighty Javelin and the Screech Bomb, and going up to 8 Amber here. And too big for the Simwix to fight right now. Cobalt Capulet would take Fabulosing off of check here. Yeah, and we do see the Mars call on Zenzi's side. Capturing 4 on that Cobalt, but not really a good way to dump that Amber, right? Outside of those worm tunnels. You don't have your Extremely the Clever. You don't have a Crepuscular Rays. So if you can, well, it's going to be harder to kill now because, again, it's got that damage on it. There goes the Kaboom getting discarded. And then these things keep getting bigger, and we get more damage on one of the creatures. So now 3 of the 6 Mars creatures having damage for that, or to stop those Coward's Ends. fix my posture. Keep hunching over to my. What I really need is an arm for my mic. The problem is I have it closer than I used to, but it's not close enough to keep me from like just slowly hunching. Okay, Fabulousing is going to get the nice 9 tax here from the Lash and throwing the Control the Weak down. And we've got the Hand of Dis. I missed that on there. That's a great way to deal with that damaged Cobalt Capulet. Getting the Amber back, getting that Dust Imp back down. And only one creature against Simwix isn't too scary because it's small enough that the Simwix just fights into it and it dies, and you don't get to do the after fight effect. Could see the Javelin just going into the Batchminder here. I don't... This is tough. You could stop the key as well because you have the Lash going, but I don't know that that's worth it right now. Maybe it is, just because we know there's 2 more Skippies, and either one of those could hit this. Yeah. It's a tough call because the Skippy could hit either one, so maybe you just assume they're going to hit the Lash instead of the Screech Bomb, but those Skippies are scary for these Omni effects, especially controlling the weak into Logos. But shouldn't be too much Logos left. My guess is it's a pretty clogged hand of Geistoid at this point. Get a play of the Skippy instead of the discard here. Gonna do another Archive. We'll see. Interesting, yeah. So Zenzi could have discarded that to use the Lash against Fabulosing there for a full 9. There's the Coward Den, going to get some more Amber, clear up a bunch of that Mars. No capture because the Portal Guardian is damaged already. We do get a punch. This could take out just the Disruptizord. I love the Skippy Scrap. I didn't know I loved saying it either until right now, but I love the Skippy Scrap. Man, that's almost like team name worthy. Skippy Scrappers. I have to remember that one. But yeah, I love that effect so much. It's so sneaky. All right, Zenzi going into Geistoid. I think for the first time this game, we get the Atomic Destabilizer getting discarded. No good creatures there to hit. We do get the Veil coming down. Going to stop this key on Fabulosing side. And then a Reap with Portal Guardian. And one of our 3 possible in here somewheres. Very interested to see what Zenzi grabs with this. There's a whole lot of options. Worm Tunnels are looking pretty good. Veil looks fine. Could just go for, yeah, your Mars stuff, Batchminder and Simwix. It's interesting because if Fabulosing just doesn't play many creatures, hey, not tonight, welcome in. We are on game 1. Just started here, and it's a really interesting matchup. I like this one a lot. Ooh, realizing I forgot to shrink that name. Zenzi. It's a little bigger. Very interesting matchup here. I like it. What I was saying, though, is Fabulosing is pretty incentivized just not to play creatures. If you don't play creatures, the Mars doesn't really deal with Amber. But we do have a Deep Probe here, hitting the Logos, getting that last Skippy, getting rid of an Ezra Pause and a Daughter as well. So pretty nasty Deep Probe there. Very, very good hits, especially getting rid of that Daughter now that that Batchminder is in place. I guess you do have the Mars Effervescent Principle, but I think not playing creatures is going to be a pretty useful tool for Fabulosing here. Do get the Ammonia Clouds, which is going to... Oh, it doesn't quite get... I was counting the damage on this wrong. This thing is so big. 16 power and 14 power right now. We do get the Bolter coming down. Along with that, Biometrics Backup. That's going to be our second one. And Fabulosing pretty far through her deck, too. I guess both players are at this point. And there's the Screech Bomb getting played just to destroy some Amber. Interesting. So all of the Skippies were gone at that point. So not as scary that it's going to get hit by a Skippy. So what all got archived here? We've got... Oh, do we know? Was there another in here somewhere that I missed? Batchminder and Simwix. Maybe someone else caught that. Oh, two cards off of Skippy. I don't think those have ever been pulled. So the two random archives off the top of the deck are also in the archives here for Zenzi. Going into Geistoid again, though. Gonna fight off that Bolter. Gonna pair bite down. So here's gonna be some more of that taxing. Also got a capture on it, so two more captured Amber here. And then just a Reap. So again, this Amber Skies deck has a lot of Amber control, but not a whole lot of ways to generate Amber. There's our second Coward's End. That's going to be a few more chains on Fab's deck. But some stunning going down here as well. And then that Gauntlet. Gauntlet's kind of an interesting one to hit with Skippy as well. Do some fun stuff with that, especially with like Simwix. So check again here. What do we have left for Amber Control? I think we still have another EP. Empathic Malice. Going for the Mars, though. I think Simwix. Was Simwix picked up? Might have a Capture Pip on it, but I thought it was just the Batchminder and Simwix. Okay, yeah. So that'll probably be the two Capture Pips off the Simwix. Blip Pip coming down. So we might get the intentional discharge here as well. Unfortunately, the smash is just a little bit too big for the Simwix to fight. No discharge would be rough, but you also know you're a little bit... Oh, there is the discharge. Okay. So we're going to get lots of capture off of bouncing those Capture Pips. A lot of the creature control gone now, though, for Fabulosing. I don't think we've seen a single Schuler, though, have we? Fabulosing sitting on potentially 3 Schulers here. But Zenzi not generating Amber like crazy, at least. Crimson Dax getting the ready from the Blip here instead of the Simwix. So just going to do some purging of cards from hand. Probably make this Batchminder a little bit bigger, harder to deal with. But it's just lots of Mars creatures to deal with. And especially the 4 Mars cards right off the bat was lots of pressure. And now both Coward's Ends are gone. Do you see a very fast call into Dis here? We know the Arise is gone. Ooh, there's the key to Dis, though. Okay. So, have to survive one turn. Sadly, these Schulers are just not going to get any value because the Amber generation was just kind of slow. Scary thing is, though, this Simwix is big enough to start fighting these things and stealing some Amber. I have a coded deck that I like for adaptive. Maybe 2. But, I mean, I love it. I love the variety we've seen already in the sets. It's been really cool. A lot more Woe. Seeing Woe again is fun, which is not something I ever thought I'd say, but the decks that people bring for adaptive from Winds of Exchange is pretty interesting. Ooh, I did the wrong thing here. There we go. Tokens have changed too. I actually have one from Tokens that I like too. I played it in my pod phase this season, and it was pretty fun. Okay, so at this point, it is call Mars until your opponent deals with it. Simwix doing some fighting here. Do some Amber stealing. We'll see if that Invix Glider, yeah, just fights into the Schuler here. Going up to 10 Amber. Not bad. Okay, so Disc Call, not too surprising here. We are going to get the Lash and then the Key to Dis, and then probably at least one Schuler. Question again, though, is does Fabulosing drop both Schulers to steal and stop the key here? She does. Okay. I think at this point, ooh, with the Shaffles too. Okay, so yeah, you know you're stopping the key no matter what. So that's a pretty nice turnaround. Man, these decks are way more evenly matched than I would have said on paper. I thought it would be like closer than the SAS maybe says, but this is a cool matchup. Very interesting. But yeah, decks for adaptive. I mean, just when you get out of competitive like Archon decks, there's so many interesting things you can find in Keyforge. It makes me sad because I feel like I try to find interesting stuff in my collection. It's just like, man, I feel like other people are just going to bring more interesting stuff than me. Mine are boring, but I also feel like I have a better record in adaptive when I play decks that are a little bit more what I would call boring, maybe, but not all of them. All right, Equidon turn here. We have the Junk Restoration, the Titan Apparition coming down. In here somewhere, grabbing some of that Mars. We do get the Kaboom getting grabbed, which is pretty nice, but I think we have one more in here somewhere. Yeah, that's only the second. So third in here somewhere could be really big. The question is it going to be too late? This board gets to forge for 6 here, I think, and then just rebat again with 3 Amber already. Hidden depth is a good way of explaining it. I love like handcrafting when you don't have much efficiency, and like those single recursion cards, just like that kind of stuff is just so fun. Like knowing you only have very specific outs and you kind of have to play to them early on, like knowing whether or not to play, hold, or discard a card is my favorite puzzle in Keyforge, and so I like giving that to other people. And sometimes boring decks, it's really hard to know if you should play, hold, or discard a card. Okay, so we get the second in here somewhere, grabbing Effervescent Principle and Portal Guardian. So that EP going to be very nice for dealing with the Amber total that Fabulous Thing is going to get to here. And then discarding. Interesting call there, but I guess Zenzi just does not want to draw back into this. Playing the Empathic Malice there would have meant he would have drawn back into that immediately, but would have had the Capture 3, which I guess would also mean your EP is less effective. I thought Eureka get purged. Did I miss? Those purges happened? Okay, so Fabulousing going into the disc, just using that whole board. Does tax for the full 9 there, but we do know Zenzi is going to be coming back with that Mars. Yeah, so if you had captured here, so I do like that play from Zenzi. If you had captured with the Empathic Malice, that 3 Amber is still here. I guess if you Kaboom first, it doesn't matter a whole lot. It goes back to the pool. But and either way, I think it's a fine play there. Effervescent comes down, dropping Fabulosing to 4, which is still not bad. We do get the Cobalt Capulet back. So this is this is the exact same starting creatures that we had at the beginning of the game, except for the Glider coming down. So now you really don't want to play any creatures, and you have to deal with this Cobalt. But we did see that Hand of Dis getting discarded as well. So Fabulosing probably just looking for one of those Coward's Ends here. Still on a hand of 5 though, so I think this was maybe the last turn with chains from the previous ones. We do have the Gauntlet, so we could kill one of these, but I have to take a big, yeah, I was gonna say a big Brobnar creature. Basically just the Earthshaker. So not quite getting to check, but getting that artifact lineup going again. Stuff though, this Mars board. Not gonna quite get to check if Zenzi doesn't have any other Mars cards. So it could be a tough call here. But you're, well, yeah. Just capturing 2 doesn't seem as beneficial if you know it's just gonna get blown up by a Coward's End. So I don't mind still just reaping here. Yeah, if you think you're gonna get hit by a Coward's End, you might as well use the board while you have it. If you could discard a oh, there's the intentional discharge. Okay, so gonna capture everything on a Cobalt. And does get the check. I was gonna say, if you had one of those Skippies, you could Skippy the Mighty Javelin to put some damage on one of your creatures to keep it alive through a Coward's End. But we'll see what Fabulosing has here. Oh, I gotta be remembered to get the logs too. Oh yeah, I forgot, JT, you're going to be playing your own match in a few minutes here. See if we can finish this by then, but seems unlikely. These are both very chessy decks, I think, in how they're playing against each other right now. We got like 30 minutes. We might get there. Tough turn here for Fabulosing. The Amber control is pretty limited to... well, the problem is that Brobnar doesn't really have it, right? Outside of the Screech Bomb, which no longer on the board. So you want to blow up the board, but you have to stop the key here, so... Jammer Pack or Schuler or Shaffles. Shaffles is already in there. Discard. 2 Schulers in the discard. Arise wouldn't be the worst, but you're not killing anything if you go Arise. We do see the Mars Call. Take some archives. I don't exactly remember what got into the archives, but we do have a battle fleet here. Bolter, Biomatrix Backup, and Deep Probe. So it has to dig for the Amber control. So this might just be it. That'd be brutal on a gamble, but probably just doesn't have any discards to play with this Lash. Ooh. Maybe looking for the key abduction as well, but I don't think it was... Oh, yeah, the key abduction gets you this Amber back, doesn't it? That would have been super close. Oh, man, they did not wait. But we got it. We got the logs. Don't worry, folks. Don't worry, Snoopy. I got it. Looks like we did lose the game, however, so we'll get a new one going. Maybe on a time crunch for one of these players. I don't remember, but see. And this was just set up as a reversal match, which is fine. We'll still have to remake for game 3. Oh, good call. All right. Game 2 decks have swapped. So now we've got Fabulosing on Amber Vault. It's actually named kind of interesting. I wonder if this was a custom named. Should have asked about that. The fact that Vault is capitalized there, but it's not a Vault Master deck either. Super interesting. Zenzi getting the Gauntlet of Command down early. Pretty good in stopping. If you don't find those taunts in the Mars, that could do a lot of damage against that Mars board early on. Or if there's no Batchminder right away, which we do see a slower start here. Just some Geistwood stuff coming down. Some pretty critical Amber control maybe. But we got more artifacts coming down on Zenzi's side. That Lash coming down as well. Pretty big one in the matchup. Very interested to see what Fabulosing does with those Skippies. I think there's a lot you could do with those in this matchup. Yeah, it's also Amber, not Amber. Fabulosing though, having to take some slow turns, just discarding EP. This is not our Mars pipped one. Probably feels okay, but there's no Amber in the game yet, so not a huge deal. Just toss that. Plays the D-animator on the Schuler. Plays the Skippy. Very tempting to just discard the Skippy to blow up the Schuler, but that actually makes it better for an Arise. So in this instance, well, yeah, you actually have... Ooh. There's actually some interesting things you could have done here. So you could have Skippy the Gauntlet to re-ready your D-animator and then let the D-animator deanimate itself. Not huge value because all you're trapping is the Schuler. But later on, something like that could be a very interesting turn. There's an Ammonia Clouds, clearing that board up, getting the Schuler back on the board, and then just a Blip Blip coming down. So again, lots of 2-card turns here for Zenzi, but so far keeping the board at bay. That is one of those important creature control cards gone. Yeah, it does force fight, but at the time, the only creature had been mineralized already, so there were no creatures left. So that creature would ready, have nothing to fight, and then be able to just reap and deanimate something else. Oh yeah, Schuler can just destroy itself. Good catch. Deanimator's a hard one. I loved the design of it when it came out. Like I was so excited about that card, but I have not been able to make it good. It's very fun, but it's not great. In some decks, maybe. If you have 2 of them, it's definitely a different story, but just the one can make it tough. All right, so we've got Crimson Dax, Purging, Titan Apparition, getting itself some power counters, Portal Guardian coming down, Simwix the Bold coming down, no Amber to capture there. Best way to, avoid Mars Amber control is just don't generate Amber. It's amazing. Okay, Zenzi going into Brobnar. See if we see that Earthshaker here. Well, Earthshaker isn't amazing here. You don't want to lose your Blip Blip, and it only kills the Simwix. Do you get the Gauntlet of Command taking out the Portal Guardian? Screech Bomb, Headhunter, Smash, gonna stun that Simwix the Bold, and the Intentional Discharge is already gone, so pretty nice follow up there. And this is where we didn't really get to see this in game 1, but Amber Vault does not have a ton of creature control outside of that Kaboom. It kind of relies on fighting. Do get a Mars Call here though, so this could be that Kaboom, which does archive the Blip Blip, so it's a little bit scary to do that. You don't want to give too many Mars Archives to this deck, because it does have the Key Abduction and Battle Fleet in there, which we saw right at the end. Not quite getting there, but block some Spike. Doesn't kill anything because you got your own creatures. You got to be careful of that. It does have that discard pip on it though. Discarding Skippy the Glorious to get a fight off of Simwix. Very, very nice. It's only 1 Amber to steal, but always matters. Getting rid of that Blip Pip as well. Pretty nice. Got Amber going on Schuler. And then that final piece of Skippy drawing that extra card too is very nice. And we got more Mars coming down. Chooses not to taunt for the Simwix. Instead, guarding the Cobalt and the Crimson Dax, but we do get that extra power on the Simwix from the Crimson Dax. Purging Ezra Pause. So, interesting. I could see this being a little bit more... I think if that turn didn't happen, if there wasn't the creature control turn, this would have swung into the Coda deck's favor pretty fast, but very, very nice recovery there of the board control. All right, Zenzi taking some time on this one. Stuff. I think you probably feel like you got to fight a few things off here. Get rid of your own board so this Simwix can't do as much. Coward's End, maybe not the worst if you just reap out. No, we are going to see some fighting here. Gets the damage on the Headhunter, gets that Amber, plays another Headhunter. and then Screech Bomb just to blow up some Amber, get that off the board so it can't be hit by another Skippy, but I think that is 2 Skippies gone now. Yeah, there's only 1 Skippy left. And I need to like write Skippy scrappers down. That's just I never think about stuff like that. Like ABR team names, I'm never your go-to person. But Skippy scrappers is gold to me. It's all about if you can entertain yourself, right? Fabulous thing going into Mars. Still having more to play here is impressive. I guess maybe not. Only 6 cards in, but a decent amount in the deck. But probably building up towards a fairly large Geistoid turn, especially if those in here somewheres are coming up soon. Another fight from Simwix here. Kind of, you can pick whatever you want. You're still only going to get the 1 Amber captured because Zenzi is not generating a whole lot of Amber here. Does take out the Schuler, and then 1 more will probably be captured on, I think, yeah, put it on the Damage Headhunter. Crimson Dax going to be able to do another Purge, which will be very nice. Blip Up coming down, but again, that intentional discharge is gone already, so not going to get to do a combo here. But we'll be able to buff it up with Crimson Dax. Which is a tough call if you buff this or just put it on Simwix again. Ooh, Purge is the last Skippy. Interesting. No respect for the Skippies. So sad. Oh, there's the windshield though. All right, so that helps a little bit. So it's got elusive now, which is always a tough one to remember on this card. This one giving elusive is not always the first thing you think of. Discarding that Mars EP. So now, I mean, you can kill it with the Headhunters, and you actually get decent value doing that because you do get 1 fight with the Amber still. But having just done the Brobnar turns, I think we're about due for some dis. See what Zenzi does. Some more Schulers wouldn't be the worst, but I'm also not dealing with this Simwix if you do that. Or this Blip Ip. Key Abduction here wouldn't feel too bad. Okay, it is a Brobnar call though. Reap. Gauntlet into Simwix. And then a Coward's End. Yeah. Ooh, fights the damaged one in, giving up the key there. Huh, very interesting call on that one. Because your other one also stays alive if you have the Coward's End in a later turn. Disruptozoid comes down. More purging, so this Crimson Dax just going crazy on this Logos pod. Thinning out that deck. Getting up to 3 Amber here and just continues to slowly draw into more stuff. And again, the Skystoid turn, as soon as this board actually gets cleared, is going to just recycle all of this Mars for another turn. Do get some dis here now, though. Shaffle's coming down, going to do some Amber destruction. Toxin probably not going to survive very long, but we'll see. And the Lash. Man, so some rough hands here, I think, for Zenzi. Lots of 2/2/2s we've seen so far. At least based on what he's played. I love this from Fabulosing, though. Just keeping on using that Crimson Dax feels so good. Okay, we finally get the Geistoid turn here, just deciding it's not quite worth holding on to the rest of the Mars. Not a whole lot of deck to get through left, but we do get Junk Restoration, hitting the Paradrone here. So not even worried about getting these 2 other Mars creatures, since they're not really maybe necessary right now. If you're going to do all these in here somewhere, so you can just get them back anyways. All hands going to destroy the Shaffles. I don't think we have too many Geistoid creatures left to play, so I'd expect this to be mostly... Oh, we do have Paradrone. Could see that Atomic Destabilizer come down, but my guess is this will be at least 2. There's the Atomic Destabilizer going on. Toxin. 2 in here somewhere at least at this point. Or maybe not. Paradrone. Discards Veil. Oh, because there's no Amber. Skoda deck really struggling to generate Amber this game. There's in here somewhere number 1. Probably grabbing Discharge and Simwix. And then if you have number 2, you get Vatminder. Ooh, goes for the Geistoid stuff. So planning maybe one more Geistoid turn after this. Or just pivoting to only playing Geistoid because it maybe is better at this point in the game anyways. In here somewhere in Parabite. Yep. So now we know that last in here somewhere is in hand. We've got another in here somewhere, Parabite and the Junk Restoration ready to go, but no cards left to hit with the Junk Restoration and the All Hands. I don't think there's any draw pips in this Geistoid. But those 2 in here somewhere are going to do plenty. At check here too. As we saw, Zenzi doesn't have a ton of Amber Control options outside of going back into Dis. Which having just done and only playing 2 cards probably doesn't feel great. And having this Atomic Destabilizer. Could also be the Jammer pack in Mars, but we see the Brobnar instead. Gonna try and clean up this board. Get some Amber with the Headhunter. Which will be quickly destroyed by... Oh no, if you have the Goward's End here, the Toxin goes away. Banner of Battle comes down. Just fights into the Crimson Dax and nothing else. Man, these got to be some rough draws for Zenzi here. Or Zenzi is really trying to build up to a nicer Mars turn. Could see that because we have not seen things like the Squawker, but the Blip is gone. Maybe wants a big Battle Fleet turn. We'll see. Fabulosing though, just got a plan and gonna stick to it. Going into Geistoid here. Paradrone, Junk Restoration, doesn't have anything to find. Yeah, these 2 games do feel pretty different. That always makes it tougher to know how many chains, but I think this Amber Skies deck has a decent advantage. Yeah, the in here somewhere just make the late game so hard because you just know that they can, even if you blow this board up twice, they can just get it back so fast. And then you just run out of options. All right, so first in here somewhere, hit Batchminder and Discharge. Second in here somewhere, probably again hitting, yep, Simwix and Flotsam Spike. And that'll be it. Doesn't quite get to check, but is on key 2 and 4 Amber with plenty of Mars stuff waiting in the wings. Biggest problem for Zenzi is, well, I guess a Key Abduction gives the Blip It back, which isn't amazing when they've got the Intentional Discharge. But if it's a Brobnar turn for a Coward's End, you're only playing Coward's End because we saw there was no other cards. There was only 1 card played last turn, so Zenzi only drew into 1. Okay, does go Mars. See if he's got the big battle fleet. Only has 3 sample collection, Squawker, and Boulder. Okay, so the sample collection is not bad. I think you grab the Blipip and the Parabite here just to try and slow down some Amber Control as well. The Disruptazord is just kind of whatever. But only having 3 on that battle fleet feels real rough, I think, for Zenzi. Not what you want to see after handcrafting for so long. Yeah, first game was close, and this one does not feel very close, right? So it's somewhere in the middle. There's a sample collection. There's a key abduction. Oh, it doesn't say what creatures were picked up, huh? We do get a deep probe for Mars, but again, we know some of that Mars is in archives, but do get a couple hits. Crimson Dax's daughter and that Disruptor, which was bounced back. Oh, so that means I guess we do know it was the Blipip and the... Okay, so playing cautiously there, knowing that the Simwix is in hand, decides not to use the Squawker to use the Bolter, but instead just discards it. But Fabulosing just doing a Eureka turn, which gets her 2 Amber or 3 Amber and a capture to stop the key here. This could be Control of the Week, though. We have not seen that come down yet. But some answers here, along with the Lash. The key to Disc coming down is pretty big for dealing with this Mars board when it comes down. What I was going to say, though, is you have the Simwix in the archives, but this Bolter, if you only have one creature that Simwix kills when fighting, Simwix is not as big of an issue. It's probably still fine to discard there, but I think you maybe could have done the other play of playing it, getting the extra Reap. Paradrone maybe just captures it anyways, but... Okay, so Fabulosing just doesn't even have to worry about playing the Mars right now. Can just handcraft towards it with all these other Amber Control pieces. So many other Amber Control pieces. Still a check here. Just going to force the disc turns probably for a couple turns in a row. In here somewhere, going to discard some stuff. And then second one coming down to scoop up some of this Mars stuff, I'm guessing. Maybe the Windshield and Dax. Or the Daughter. I don't know. You got options. Could just go for more of this Geistoid stuff too, but I think at this point your archives is mostly Mars, so... Daughter and Cobalt Capulet. Okay. So on check at 8. Zenzi basically forced to go back into Dis at this point. Not really a whole lot of other options. Gonna Lash. No key to Dis, but I think you could just rinse and repeat this. You could just go back into Geistoid here with no problem. There's no check on this side. You just go to check, or go to 10, and Zenzi doesn't really have a way to deal with it. Oof, and just the insult, just Atomic Destabilizer, another in here somewhere. Scoop up more Mars stuff. Windshield and Disruptor. And we'll get a Reap. Yeah, it's 12 Amber. I don't think this deck can deal with that in any form. And you're not worried about the key abduction because there's just way too much ground to make back up. Okay, disc turn, Lash, key, and then that's game. We got the logs. Don't worry. I just say that to Snoopy and the rest. All right, chat. What do we think? Chains on this one. It's tough. This will be a very tough one to bid on. Because I think the Coda deck has the potential of just getting like a 4 Brobnar creature board early, and that could be really tough for the Amber Skies deck to come back from unless it finds the Kaboom early. From this game is like 10 chains, yeah, and then first game 5 to 6. Yeah, I could see. I like 7, probably around there. I'd be scared. I'd be a little bit worried though. I think we have not seen the Coda deck pop off the way it maybe can, especially like we didn't see a Rise do anything in either game. Oops. What else have we not seen? Control the Weak didn't really do anything in that game. The Coward's End seems like they came at awkward times both games, and we haven't really seen the Battle Fleet do what it might be able to do. I think it's hard to make the Mars really work in this deck, at least with the Battle Fleet key abduction. There's not really much archiving or anything, so kind of like JT was saying, you'd have to like Arise, hold that for a turn, then do your Mars. But if that happens, the Amber Skies deck, well, yeah. it still has some answers because it's got the 2 EPs. So like you can do the key cheat with the key abduction, but then after that, I think you have to win this game by having more of the board or control of the board. Because otherwise you just get locked into the dis lock of the lash. Okay, fabulous thing just right out the gate going up to 6. I think that's pretty fair. Zenzi going up to 7. It is hard though, because maybe it is a little bit more than 7. Because again, the Amber Skies just has that ability to stall the game out so hard later on with like the Amber control, and then once it does that, it has an opportunity to refill the board with the In Here Somewheres into Mars. So it's tricky. This is a very tricky one. Good job on both players for these are good adaptive decks. I like it. Definitely some interesting choices here. All right, we're up to 9. Let's see if we hit that 10 mark. I should see if Captain Gale has raids available. See if I can raid them. It'd be fun. This is over. That's a good question. Let me check the logs quick. I think the Amber Skies is going first. So that's the one we're bidding on. So that is probably one more chain that you're willing to bid on it, but we're up to 11 now. 11 scary. We also haven't seen Daughter come down. We haven't seen the Skippies get to sit on board and do archiving for a little bit. So like it also the Amber Skies has efficiency to kind of deal with the chains that we haven't really seen it have to use yet. Man, yeah. I'm not sure what I would do here. If I was more practice with the coded deck, I might have a better idea, but for Zenzi, this is tough. 12 chains. I just don't know about that. Ooh, 13. Zenzi, I think, really wants to play his own deck here. Yeah, these are scary numbers, but Zenzi gets the deck on 13. Sorry, I've totally forgot to keep up with the scores. Got 1 and 1. Both players playing their own deck. Yeah, so sorry, the Coda deck was going first. Zenzi went first last game, but Zenzi was on the Coda deck at that point. So Coda deck has gone first, so that actually means maybe one more chain even than we would have gone for. But see how it goes. Zenzi's got, or sorry, Fabulousing getting the Headhunter down there right away. Discarding Empathic Malice, all hands on deck to deal some damage, and that is it. Very happy, I think, if you're Fabulousing to see some of that creature control gone as well. Battle Fleet right away for 3. Not all cards you want to play here, though. Squawker hurting your own stuff, Jammer Pack. It's Amber, but definitely slowing yourself down a little bit. Ooh, big bodies coming down on the board for Zenzi. House Pips do help a little bit with the chains. But yeah, you've also got things like the Toxin in here, which if that gets rolling, then those chains just feel even worse every turn. Okay, so we got a Brobnar turn there. Pretty straightforward. Just unstunning, getting the Screech Bomb down, and playing a punch. Zenzi going into Logos. I I wonder if you punch your Headhunter there. There's Skippy and an Ezra Pause. We got a Rise, Tentacus, Schuler, Bolter, Dustin. Okay, so we're going to go disc, drop a bunch of disc creatures, let Zenzi try to deal with it, and then just Arise it all back, and now you kind of know it's coming. And if you don't do it yourself, then Fabulosing probably just fights this into you anyways, and it happens. But you do get another turn to draw and archive stuff with this Logos if you're Zenzi, so it's not the worst, but that Arise... Oh, discards the Arise. Interesting play there. I guess the Arise getting back a bunch of Schulers that don't really have effect yet is a little bit scary, but maybe just trying to dig hard for Coward's End. Man, that's tough. I'd be very tempted to hold that there. Just being able to Dust Imp and then Arise the Dust Imp puts on so much pressure, right? But I guess against multiple... Ooh, multiple EPs. Those are some nice hits though. Off or for Fabulosing, I think. Seeing the Discharge gone, Cobalt gone, and that Mars EP gone is all pretty nice. We got the Brobnar call here. This should be a Coward's End, I believe. Ooh, Earthshaker, not bad. So being able to deal with it without taking chains. Screech Bomb gonna blow up some Amber. Gauntlet of Command coming down. Another Headhunter, and then this one probably just gonna reap here. Yep. So going to check for key 1, dealing with a good chunk of the board there. I think you're pretty happy if you're Fabulosing with that. Just really don't want to see Kaboom here. Still could do some decent damage fighting if you're Zenzi, but yeah, I think this is the kind of place you want to be, especially with the Gauntlet down now. This Brobnar can just kind of get plenty of value. Again, keeps it on laying those skippies, trying to get those archives going. But we do see the hand here. We've got Bolter, Biomatrix, Hand of Dis, Bolter, Javelin, Sample Collection. So not going to be playing many cards from Brobnar here, but gets to do plenty of stuff. Going to clean up the board a little bit. Titan Apparition, going to discard a bunch of stuff. Oh, hitting the Control of the Weak. And Schuler and Shaffles. Oh, it's tough. It's very tough. I think, yeah. That's not what we want to see either. But so some tough discards on both sides now. Headhunter fighting into Portal Guardian. This Headhunter possibly fighting into Number. We'll get a second fight here with the Earthshaker. And then the Headhunter gets to fight into Skippy. Deal with that. Alright, so lots of pressure from the Coda deck, but it is running low on creatures. Still no Coward's End though, so you're not feeling too bad if the board starts going the other way. But you've also done a lot of Brobnar turns, so if you have to do more Brobnar turns to deal with the board, you're kind of getting stuck. Junk Restoration, gonna grab it in here somewhere, so this is where this stuff starts getting scary. Archives, not something you can deal with if you're running a coded deck. Already 2 in the archives from the 2 Skippies. But we don't know it's in that archive, so lots of different things it could be. Goes for the Junk Restoration in here somewhere, so... And there's the second in here somewhere. Alright, that is the message to Fabulosing. You've got to go. Got to go fast now, because things are about to turn real fast. This Geistoid just going to start looping itself, gaining a lot of Amber. Crafting towards some really nice hands. In here somewhere, and Veil of Ectoplasm. Alright, so now you also got to deal with creatures. Try and force them to have some creature, which there's not too many left, actually. Parabite? Or Paradrone. Actually, maybe no more creatures left in Geistoid. So yeah, if you kill this Ezra Pause, that Veil is not doing so much. Or you can't sample collect it, but we might be able to purge it here. Oh no, because the Squawker is gone already. Okay, so it doesn't quite get to check. But yeah, if you're Zenzi, you just rinse and repeat with this hand. This is so much value. Junk Restoration finds EP, Windshield, and Worm Tunnel. If you're digging for the Kaboom, that's not feeling too great. Grabs the EP though, so you have more answers to all this amber. Battle Fleet already used is a little bit rough, but we might be able to sneak a key through still on a key abduction, just to avoid all that amber control. First in here somewhere. Grabbing in here somewhere and all hands on deck. Second one. Does get the check there as well with that in here somewhere. See if he remembers to grab a creature. Discarding Deanimator. In here somewhere in Junk Restoration. Okay. Oh, we still haven't seen a Parabyte, have we? Might have the Parabyte in hand. That gives you a creature for the Veil. Going to check. We don't have the Lash Down yet on Fabulosing's side. Down to 6 chains, but not shedding any because Zenzi's on a hand of 7 right now. Ooh, the Deep Probe. Going for Mars, so hits plenty of stuff there, but it's a tough call. We do see that Parabyte in there as well. We see the last Skippy. Might just use the Javelin here just to burn it. Get some damage maybe on the Schuler or Tentacus. Maybe the Schuler. Nope, just decides to keep it there. Again, I guess probably not going Logos this turn. Does not stop the key. Again, these are both the Biomatrix backups. We lost the Jammer pack a little bit ago, but Zenzi, yeah, you just keep going. Geistoid here, make Fabulosing rack up that Amber count, and then as soon as it's all back in the pool, you hit that EP for a big Amber Destruction. I don't know. It's tough to say if that works, though. Did we get any cards out of hand? Just the Deep Probe. No other cards played, so probably not in a great place to key abduct here. Get that Tentacus Archive from the All Hands on deck. Here comes the Parabyte, and then just all of the capture. In here somewhere. Okay, so it does grab another creature there in here somewhere in the Portal Guardian. Second in here somewhere. Probably grabbing in here somewhere and Junk Restoration. I think you're maybe supposed to play the Veil first there. I guess you don't have to play the Veil right now because they're not in check. In here somewhere and Eldest Batchbinder. Okay, so slowly building up that Mars board presence. Bolter does get to purge this Parabyte though if you go Brobnar. Smash gonna stun it. Sorry if you go Mars, but not going Mars, going Brobnar here. Gonna go ahead and Gauntlet to kill the Parabite. Reap goes up to 9. Discards Coward's End. That's it. So it goes to 9. We do know the Veil is in hand, so Zenzi can stop this key. I wonder if it's just the EP here, and then you just wait on the Veil. But then you might draw through. You definitely don't want to draw through here if you're Zenzi. Okay, so going Geistoid again. Just rinse and repeat on this recursion stuff. Portal Guardian comes back down. Mars Pipped is important, but that's going to capture almost everything. In here somewhere, my guess is this starts grabbing Mars. In here somewhere in Veil. Okay, so not grabbing too much more Mars. Do get the chance to discard the Skippy there off of that in here somewhere, discard Pip. So using up that Mighty Javelin, destroying one of the bolters. And then grabs in here somewhere, and Titan Apparition does not draw through. Get a Discall here. The Schuler is going to be able to kill that Portal Guardian. Probably see another Schuler or 2 come down. Oh, only 1 left, I guess. Also that Toxin. But again, that Control the Weak getting discarded, I think, is pretty big, because you'd love to have that here. Okay, discard Hands of Dis. So Zenzi, I think, can just keep doing this, but once those chains run out, you will have to draw through, and then you lose this cycle a little bit. So it's a tough balance for Zenzi to see if this can actually maintain long enough for you to get control of things. I don't know if it can. Titan, Veil, capture almost everything. In here somewhere, in here somewhere. Yep, Veil and in here somewhere. Maybe grab 2 EP, a second EP, when you know your cycle is kind of done. But again, I think there's just a chance that it gets Amber gets key abducted, and then your whole plan kind of falls apart a little bit, but we'll see. So no good way to kill the Titan here now. We do get the Discall. Oh, found Shaffles on the redraw. That's pretty big. I guess you have the Lash anyways in a disc turn, but now you can start doing other houses and still maybe stop the key more easily. You have to double fight there, but that's another creature in Archives as well. So now you're thinking key abduction is on the table. Let's see what these discards are. Nothing you're too worried about losing. Squawker's a little bit rough, but otherwise, it's a tough spot for Zenzi. You can Veil again for 7, but you only have a little bit more longer where you can do that. But again, I think Fabulosing just tries to go for the key abduction just to get the key cheated through all this Amber control. There's in here somewhere number 1. Because that was one card. I don't think we saw that. I think that's still in hand for Fabulosing. Okay, so there's the second EP. Again, kind of assumed that was coming. And then Simwix the Bold. Still has 3 chains, so is going to be able to do the in here somewhere. Oh, in here somewhere's got the discard, so cannot keep cycling this past this turn, but that's again why Zenzi is grabbing stuff that is not Geistoid here. That's probably be more Mars. Tough thing for Fabulosing is you can't kill off your own Bard board too easily to stop that Simwix from getting value. I guess if you ammonia clouds, you're doing fine, but we'll see. Tensional discharge and blipip. Scary stuff. And then the atomic destabilizer on smash. Oh, we lost the ammonia clouds too. That's tough. Okay, here's the Mars call. Takes the archives into hand. Okay, so this is going to be a key abduction. Purge the Parabyte. Key abduction. Gonna forge for 7 amber there. Bolter comes back down. Blipip. See, this is tough. This is where I think you almost wipe your own board. No, you're not stopping the key unless you have the jammer pack here as well, which she does. That's huge. Stopping the key here is huge. There's the biomatrix on the shaffles. So it does get to check, and it will be checked past the destabilizer, but yeah, Zenzi not forging there is pretty rough because now those EPs hurt him as well. And you've got a Mars board that you get a couple activations, but not a ton. Right? It's the Blipip you get to ready, and then that gets to ready 1 creature, and that's pretty much it. And all we have is Blipip, Discharge. We know the Batchminder's in there. Simwix has the Capture Pips. Yeah, so it's got to be the Mars call here. Ooh, plays the Kaboom. All right. Interesting. Now your Simwix has nothing to fight into. You get the Capture Pips from it, which is good. That's a tough call, though. Oh man, this is so close. It's a tense game. Blipip comes down. Batchminder. Intentional discharge, the Batchminder. Oh, maybe intentional discharge the Simwix just to spread out the captures. Yeah. But I mean, that key to dis is sitting right there. That's just gonna wreck all of this Mars. So readied the Blipip, but pausing here. Kind of wonder what's the hesitation, or did I get disconnected? There's the Reap on the Blipip. There's Simwix coming back down, capturing more. Does not capture onto itself. Okay. Okay. Question was whether you do the Crimson Dact to purge something. We do get the daughter as well. But again, you basically just have to draw 4 answers here. Going to 9 doesn't quite do it. So we know the Shaffles is archived. So all you have to do is go dis, lash, key to dis, drop Shaffles. They don't get the key. Yeah. You get back up to check because this is all just captured. So now the Zenzi get forced into using those EPs, which will hurt himself again. Schuler stealing. Oh, it doesn't even play the Shaffles. Interesting. So it doesn't want to pull that other archive stuff. Was that the... What else was archived? Interesting. Gonna hold on to those maybe for another key abduction. Zenzi goes Geistoid here, so needs to find, get some stuff in the discard for Veil again, maybe? Or is Veil gone now? Veil might still be in play. All hands. Ooh, Empathic Malice. God, the Hamper control in this deck is insane. There's the Veil. No in here somewhere to grab it back. So now you still can go into this and stop the key, get back into check. I think you really want to force. Ooh, goes Brobnar instead. Oh, you can Gauntlet with the Schuler, but you're not stopping the key here. Man, I don't know. Because now those EPs are both just going to hit you. Or even just one. And Zenzi can hold on to the second one. Oh, that's tough. Very, very tough call. It's more chains for Zenzi, but Zenzi's got the Skippy to do some archiving. Fabulosing maybe just feeling like she has to get back to the key abduction play. So yeah, we only see the one EP played, so we know there's another one. Discards the Worm Tunnel, but does get an archive there. Very tough. I don't know. I really like Shaffles into Lash on that last turn. Because you still, I think then you force the EPs to hit Zenzi's pool too instead of him forging. But then I guess what do you do the turn after that is maybe a lot tougher. If your stuff all gets EP'd. Okay, Fabulous and going into Mars, playing the Battle Fleet. Deep Probe is pretty scary. Sample Collection, Blip, Bolter. What do you call here? You don't have to worry about the Mars. You know the Parabyte's gone. Disruptozoid has a capture pip on it. Maybe you do just go Mars here. I don't think creatures are really your issue so much. Goes for Geistoid. Hits nothing. We do see gliders in there and that Disruptoid with the capture pip on it. But oh, and it's the Mars EP too. Yeah. Wonder if Mars was maybe a better call there. Well, in hindsight, Mars was the better call, but that's hard to know at this point. At the point it was played. So it only gets to 6, so we know the Mars basically has to come down with the EP, except you don't have to play the EP. Oh, Zenzi does go for it. Interesting. Man, this is so tough. So Brobnar call here means we're probably just getting a Coward's End. Deal with this Mars board. Both EPs are gone. Is the Veil gone? Veil's gone, but I mean, all 3 in here somewheres are still waiting. So if you don't get to check this turn, oh no. I think this is going to be tough for Fabulous Thing to get out of now. Discard Screech Bomb. Doesn't want to give another target for those Skippies, of which there are at least 2. Didn't we kill one? Am I missing one? All 3 of them in there, apparently. Okay, fast guys do we call here, but yeah, we're going to start seeing those. in here somewheres. Yeah, no, that makes sense. If you know Fab can't get to check after the EP, then that means you're free for these in here somewheres. So we get Veil, Portal Guardian in here somewhere, and EP. There's, of course, the Mars pipped one. Yeah. Very, very tough. Fabulous Thing does still have the Control the Weak. But you literally don't have a house that you can call that doesn't have Amber Control unless you can also clear the board here. If you can clear the board, then you force Geistoid. You have to hope. Let's see how many Geistoid creatures are left. There's still another Geistoid creature. So yeah. I think there's two. One of the in here somewheres has one, and then the Flotsam Spike maybe has one. Most of the rest of these are capture or house pips. Hand of Disc takes out the glider. So you would think the Skippy's discarding would be used a lot, but we haven't seen it hardly at all these games. There's the Arise for the disc here. Problem is, oh, Kaboom is gone. Okay, so that is actually a pretty solid play. Not too many answers to it now. I think you have to, if you have the, I mean, she has to have the Control the Weak now. I think you need to hold it for a turn. Yeah, right before the draw through is fantastic. Control the Weak for Mars. So we know it's basically just the EP here. So yeah, I guess that's probably fine. This can do some fighting, which is not ideal. But it means no Skippy on this. I think it's basically just the EP. What else? I think we know one or two other cards. You can't kill this to get the Flotsam Spike, which would be pretty amazing. Yeah, so now I guess to do its stuff next turn. That makes sense. I was going to say, because there's no board clear left, then maybe you can wait a turn. But since you're not getting into check this turn, then that gives Zenzi, like we said last time, gives Zenzi freedom to kind of prep as much as needed. There's the Windshield, which has a capture pip on it. It's not a huge deal at the moment. Fights the Shaffles instead of the Toxin. Plays the Flotsam Spike, which does have a discard pip, discarding Eureka. Okay, so it does not have to play the EP because, again, Fabulous Thing wasn't in check, so I said that wrong, I think. But also doing that, playing the Control the Weak there, does mean it gets shuffled back in, so might have just drawn it. So we do see the disc call again here. Gonna discard a Worm Tunnel, not the card I think you're hoping to hit here. It's not terrible, but Zenzi doesn't really want to draw through at this point anyways, I don't think. Schuler for a steal. And then fight into number, going up to 8 with the Dust Imp. Oh, and it redraws the Control of the Weak. What? That is brutal. Perfect redraw there. Exactly what Fabulous Thing needed. So now we know Zenzi only has the EP basically in terms of stopping this key, which does stop it, but the next turn is pretty tough to come back from, especially if, well, stopping it, you're probably not drawing through again. Yep, EP, Cobalt Capulet. That's all there is. Fabulous thing sitting at 5 amber here. And Zenzi not even shedding a chain there either. Get the disc call again. Still a lot of amber control to wade through. Yeah, so you do have to kill the creatures here just to force the last creature available for Veil. So Veil was picked up, right? Yeah. I don't remember if that one got... Lose a few cards to the Titan Apparition, but not crazy. Ooh, and the Arise. Okay. Maybe you hold the Schuler here. But maybe not. You know there's no Kaboom. You might as well get stuff on the board to reap with next turn, because you're probably going to have to lash again. We only get to 6, so like we said, just a discarded discarded Skippy can stop this key. But if you want to Veil, you have to have the Portal Guardian. Yeah, Arise changes that math a little bit. Titan Apparition, I forget that that thing even has text half the time. But I don't have many card decks that use it well. Or I just don't use it well in the decks that I have it. Okay, so Zenzi going over his options here. Toxin discarded the Veil. I missed that too. That's a pretty important one to hit. But he's got at least one Skippy. Like, he must have at least one Skippy in hand. Potentially 3. So Skippy stops the key, but I don't... flipping the deck here is not really going to help you either, so... Zenzi chooses Geistoid. Okay, so the in here somewhere with the discard pip is my guess. No, it's the regular one. See if he's got the discard pip one to discard Skippy. But then you're drawing through, so this is the last turn. Like, you can't maintain this. Gets Kaboom and EP. First being the Mars one. Discards the Skippy. Lash. Draw. Man, this is such a close game. Crazy. It's true, does pay an amber because of the Tentacus. That's hilarious. Man, if you missed that and they were on 8 when you did that, that would have been so sad. Okay, so there's the Simwix and the Discharge. So the Simwix having the 2 capture, the EP is there, so you have to get to, let's see, 15 amber. Can't really key abduct at this point. You can get to 14, but that doesn't include a fight. I think you have to fight this off. You do get to discard something, but everything you want to discard is in archives. You're going to lose your whole hand next turn, or your whole board next turn. Right? Am I doing the math on that right? EP 15, you go down to 8. Capture, go down to 6. If you're on 14, yeah. I don't know if there's any other pips in this dis. There's not. But if you found the... Oh, you do get the amber off the dust imp. Okay, but then it's kind of a wash, right? If you're not fighting the Portal Guardian off. Yeah, because now this Portal Guardian can just run itself into something. I guess you don't get to do the kaboom if you do that. Okay, so this forces not playing kaboom if you want to stop the key. Unless Zenzi drew into second EP. Well, no, you have the intentional discharge. So the Simwix the Bold has 4 capture pips, basically. Man, this is just so tough to get past. There's so much amber control. So there's the EP. And then Reap with the Guardian. Oh, doesn't have another creature to capture onto. So the Simwix would only be able to... Oh, that's rough. Yeah, so can't play the kaboom then. That's going to be game. Yikes. Is that math right? Yeah. Simwix would have to capture on itself, and it could only capture 2. Crazy. Just enough there. Skippy and the Mars discard pip. Oh, Fab's got the key abduction anyways. Yeah. Man, crazy match there. Very, very good. Last one. 13 chains bid on that one too, which is pretty insane. But yeah, I mean, you can just see just sort of that inevitability of this deck. Not inevitability, but the recursion loop with that Geistoid being able to just hold off keys for so long was super, super strong. Needed to hold the Guardian. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Because he had everything he needed otherwise, but he just didn't have that second creature to go with the Simwix to do the double capture. Otherwise, he would have been able to... I don't think it mattered, though. Because you still get to Battlefleet key abduction. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter if this whole board gets wiped. Because Fabulosing still has 4 more amber there. So the Battlefleet key abduction still cleans it up, because both of those creatures that have the captured amber get bounced by the key abduction anyways. Yeah, that Veil was a very nice discard. But I think Zenzi was going to have a hard time generating amber at the point we were at in the game. As soon as he had to flip the deck, he was only on defense mode, whereas Fabulosing is just like pressuring in every way possible. But I think the really big one was the control the weak redraw. that was very nice. That helped a lot, along with the Arise. But yeah, congrats to Fabulosing on making it through to round 3. Very, very good games here. That said, we have games going on another channel. Let me see. I don't know if Gale allows raids or not, but we'll try it. All right, thank you all so much for watching. This has been a fantastic game. Zenzizenzic and Fabulosing, congrats on getting here. All right, we're going to bounce to the next one. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time on Fan Refrain / Floxmall.